to an exclusive interview you will only see here on Fox 40 today. Governor Gavin Newsom sat down with our Capitol reporter Eytan Wallace to talk about several key issues facing our state, including energy and also the recent heat wave. Eytan joining us now live from McClellan Park with more on what the governor had to say. Eytan.
Well, Nikki, good evening. And, you know, in this wide-ranging interview, the governor said that the state is ramping up its firefighting ability efforts, including with this fleet of aircraft right here at McClellan Airport. But he also acknowledged, he says that the state definitely needs to improve when it comes to making sure that those fires do not start in the first place. Governor Gavin Newsom getting a first-hand look at this newly contracted 737 air tanker from Australia. California plans to use it over the next 60 days to help fight wildfires during the peak fire season. The airplane, just one of many the governor saw today during a tour with CAL FIRE at the McClellan Air Park. Other aircraft include this Firehawk helicopter that comes with technology to fight fires at night.
This is a game changer in terms of the fleet.
During a one-on-one interview, the governor said this fleet is just part of the state's increasing commitment to fight wildfires, pointing out over the last 2 years, California has invested $2.7 billion to combat fires, way up from just $200 million in 2020.
Unprecedented tools, equipment, personnel, technology, doing everything we can to put a lid on this.
Newsom says his administration has prioritized forest management, achieving and exceeding its goal of fuel reduction on 100,000 acres of land. That, as opponents have argued, the metric is just a drop in the bucket. Some have said, well, that's not ambitious enough. Your response?
I get it. Look, I mean, we're taking unprecedented steps. Yes, we will do more. We can do more because we have to do more in order to address the nature of the climate and the extreme. I don't know what more example we need of that extreme heat than what we experienced last 10 out of the last 12 days.
And about those last 12 days, the governor says they are a wake-up call about climate change and the grid. The record heat wave came just about a week after the legislature approved a Newsom-backed plan to keep the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant in San Luis Obispo County open until as late as 2030. What do you think could have happened last week if we did not have Diablo Canyon?
Well, we would have, I mean, if we didn't have that 9% base load, and it's about 9% of the base load of electricity in the state of California, there's no doubt we would have blown past. We would have absolutely triggered into what we call load reduction, otherwise referred to as blackouts, unquestionably, if we didn't have Diablo, period, full stop.
On climate, the governor maintains the transition to renewable energy is crucial for California, including the Central Valley communities where oil is a huge part of the economy. Thousands of people in the oil economy, either directly associated or indirectly, who might be nervous about how they're going to earn a living going forward. What is your message to them? We're
going to keep them employed. Capping, making sure that we're addressing all the maintenance concerns on these rigs. We put hundreds of millions of dollars in the budget to secure that transition. So it's not rhetorical. We're going to have their back. No one's naive about the importance of doing our part of guaranteeing during that transition that we're not leaving people behind.
And as for a bill on his desk that would allow farm workers to vote remotely in union elections, even with President Biden's endorsement of the legislation, Newsom was less clear about whether he'll support it, noting he has vetoed similar legislation in the past.
Governor Brown vetoed that bill, I vetoed that bill, and it's one of a few hundred that I have on my desk, and I'll be taking a look at that over the next couple of weeks.
Did it make an impact that President Biden weighed in?
President Biden weighs in on a lot of issues, and we've had many chances to dialogue on a lot of issues. That bill on my desk with a few hundred others, and we're going to take a good look at it. Governor Brown took a look at it, made a decision. I did last year, and we offered many amendments to UFW, and I hope they'll take a look at those amendments.
And Governor Newsom has until the end of the month to make a decision on that bill. Reporting live here at McClellan Air Park, Eytan Wallace, Fox 40 News.
Really interesting discussion with the governor there, Eytan. I really want to hone in on that last part of the interview because I know we were texting on Friday wondering what's going to happen, and I know you reached out to the folks at UFW and they said all is quiet. Now you have the governor on record saying how he feels about this bill. Also, I know you've been really busy today, but Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher, the head of California Labor, this has been a top priority for her. And she tweeted about an hour ago, she retweeted your portion of the governor's response and saying, we encourage you to take a long, and I want to emphasize long because there's like 6 O's in there, look at the bill, Gavin Newsom, then take out your pen and then sign it. I know you've been keeping a close eye on this, but in your conversation with the governor, he talked about the amendments there. It still sounds like the way it is in its current form, he's not a fan of it.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, in the current form right now, it seems, especially because he mentioned the part about vetoing similar legislation in the past, that he is not in support of what this is right now, Nikki. But the thing is that's also interesting is that some lobbyists who I've spoken to off camera tell me, well, they can always sign the bill and then add some amendments later. Unclear, though, if the governor will support that. Nikki?
All right, our Capitol correspondent, Eitan Wallace, great work today. Talk to you at 6 o'clock. Thanks so much.